So another thing that we can look at is Windows, let me get this right, Windows Azure for SQL, which is the new marketing term for SQL Azure. So what that is SQL Server in the cloud. And in the past few weeks, they've just released reporting services, made it much more robust. Up till then, it was simply a CTP, which means it was a community call for feedback. So if you haven't tried Azure, the thing to remember about it is it's free for 30 days. And the other thing to remember about it is anybody with a live ID and a credit card can go on and set themselves up with a SQL server in the cloud that they can access anywhere. So I think once your business users get that idea, they'll go and start to play. Right?
Just to reiterate as well, if you don't touch your cloud subscription at all, you will not get charged.
Yeah.
I've tested this by having an Azure license and not putting any data up for 2 months to make sure they're not charging them, and they're not.
Yeah, because the idea is Azure is all about pay as you go. It's a bit like your electricity bill. The facility is still there. Whether you use it or not, you pay for what you use. So in some ways, I quite like Azure for mobilising business intelligence. The reason for that is if I'm using an iPad that's accessing corporate data, what happens if somebody steals that iPad? The iPad is still going to be a corporate data. You can use something like System Center to try and lock the data down so that it gets wiped. But what I like about Azure is you just export the data that you need up to the cloud, and then the iPad can hit that instead. So it's not actually touching the corporate systems at all. So it's something to bear in mind. Okay. So SSRS and the iPad, there's something called MobiWeave. MobiWeave is for reporting services, and the iPad, it's about $40. I must admit, I am not associated with the company, so I'm not trying to sell you something. But you can go and give it a try and see how that works. I think it doesn't look too bad, actually. Greens and blues, pie charts again. Okay. So I'm not going to talk about .NET, and the reason for that is I had a customer recently who said, can you come in and advise us on a mobile BI solution? And then they brought in another vendor to come in and talk as well. And this vendor was all about, well, you need .NET applications to mobilise business intelligence. We'll have a team of maybe 10 people here for a month, and they'll build you something. And I said, I'll let them talk. And I said, well, what about SharePoint? Because you can mobilise in that. And it's just all the sales ploy sometimes. So eventually I knocked them down. Instead of a month of people, of 10 people for a month on site doing .NET applications, we got one person for 2 weeks. So it's really, because they've done so much of the work for you, it's worth just trying it. Sometimes you have to suck it and see. Yeah. So MobiWeave, worth having a look at. More pie charts. But if you can forgive the pie charts, it's reporting services. Have a quick look at it. It is nice. Okay, I'm just conscious of time, so I want to get to Excel and Excel services. Coming back to my earlier point, Excel is quite an overlooked tool sometimes for SharePoint. People are so used to having it on their desktops, they forget they can publish it to SharePoint as well. It's a great way of sharing that information, and because it's covered by the December 2011 cumulative update, it's worth having a look at it. Because Excel and an iPad, I mean, it's like a business user's two favourite things in one device, you know, Excel as well. So have a look at it. Okay, now Power Pivot. Has anybody used Power Pivot? A few hands? Not everybody. I'm still noticing Power Pivot is taking some time to get some traction, some adoption. I'm not sure why that is. I think people are quite happy with Excel. But what Power Pivot gives you is millions and millions and millions of rows that you can see in Excel. And nothing makes people happier in BI than having millions and millions and millions of rows in Excel. Yeah? It's very hard to get them off it. So if you've got business users who love Excel and you want to give them more data and make them love you for the rest of your life, try Power Pivot. it, it's a free download, and I recently did one for a customer, NHS patient data, 75 million rows, and it just took it, it just swallowed it, and it's just fast, it's just nice, it's easy to use. Go ahead.
Yeah, last year's passed like 4.8 billion in sub-1 second return back right now.
Yeah, that's right, but not having done it myself, I'm not.
No,
No,
just give you the record.
Yeah, I wondered, I know people have bandied that figure about, but I think, well, would want to do a production without robust? I don't want to make promises that might be of issues. So. It depends very much, because I think with Power Pivot, it depends on the data as well. So, for example, I had one column that when you removed it, took half a gig of the file size. The reason for that was it was such a long piece of text in the columns. So, the swings and roundabouts, really. So there is, and you can look at this, if you're interested in Power Pivot on a mobile device, I've got the link there, which I'll put in my blog. You can go and try it. What to do is, take the link, put it on your mobile device, and show your business users. They'll love it. They'll absolutely love it. Yeah. There's also some work on best practices as well. And I think it looks quite nice because it's surfaced in Excel. You've got all that data in one place with Excel type, with Excel visualizations. And here's Performance Point. Performance Point, just if you can see the slightly more detailed here. What we have here is the key performance indicators. I talked a little bit earlier about business users like alerting. They like key performance indicators. They like to know the current state of their business in terms of real time. So Performance Point gives you that. You can also do it in Excel services as well. But I think the key thing with Performance Point, it's all about performance management. It's all about scorecarding. It's about the whole Norton and Kaplan methodology around having scorecards to measure your business beside. So if you're familiar with that formulation, that's what Performance Point gives you.
If I can add to that, Jen, all my clients that use Performance Point, the single feature that drives them to Performance Point over anything else is the what's it called? When you drill through and break it down into
For the decomposition tree.
The decomposition tree is a very, very powerful tool that anything in Performance Point you can drill down to this decomposition tree that users absolutely adore.
Yeah, I love the decomposition tree. And the other thing that's really cool is the fact that you can change the type of chart on the fly. So you can go from a bar chart to a line chart just by right-clicking.
Well,
I think it's a great feature.
Is decomposition tree on an iPad, does that work?
It doesn't because it's Silverlight. I know, ouch, nearly there. Yeah, but it's just, you don't know if you can see this very well, it hasn't come up very well in the graphic, but you can do lovely drill throughs as well because it's on your cube, and based on your cube you've got all your dimensions, so you can start to almost fuzz around